Okay, I'm making sure I record this for future use. So today the property we're going to arrange CMA for is 3614 West 147th Street, and this is in Cleveland, Ohio. Okay, so we're writing a CMA for a property that's obviously not listed. So we're pretending like we're going on a listing appointment to this property and we're running a CMA as to our best estimate as to what we should price the home at. Obviously, when you go to the home and see if there's any updates and whatnot, you should definitely update your CMA based on what you find in real time with updates of the house. But for our listing appointment, just to be prepared, we're going to get this together. And as you can see that this is the property itself. If you click on CMA, all right, it shows you. So another thing to note too, if you've ever done a CMA, your subject property is the property you're running the CMA for. And then the comps are all the comparables to that property. So your subject property is going to be the one that you're trying to figure out what's the best value. And then your comps are going to be similar homes to get to that price. All right. Oh no, here, let's see. Let me clear my data. Okay. So now our home here, let me make my screen a little bit bigger. Our subject property is 1,354 square feet, 3 beds, 2 baths, built in 1939. So with the RPR, it gives you 2 CMAs you could run. We'll run both, but I'm going to start with the first one, just the quick CMA that we're going to do. I'm going to confirm facts of my subject property. It's a single family home, 3 bed, 2 bath, everything that's starred. If anything has changed, like say, you know that the property you're going into added a bath, obviously go ahead and add that there if you need to make any adjustments. But I know that this property has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,354 square foot. Everything starred is currently what the property is at. So I'm going to confirm facts and close. And then now I'm going to go ahead and find comps for this property. So when I'm looking at comps, I'm looking for similar square footage, similar beds and baths, and around the same year. Okay, so again, when you are searching for comps, you want to make sure that you have single family residence. The best property status for comps is honestly a variety. Some have more preference than others, but active for sale listings, pending listings, active under contract, and closed. Some agents just do strictly closed. Others take into effect all of these. We're going to take into effect all of them and adjust accordingly. And then we're going to do within the last 3 months. Again, all depending on how many comps we get out of this. Say that I say within the last 3 months and only 2 comps show up. Well, then I can adjust the time to be like, okay, let me look within the last 6 months. And then maybe 5 comps will come up. Having at least 3 comparables, comps means comparables, is going to be best. All right. So then we have beds. So with our subject property, we have 3 bedrooms. So I want to go up a max of 3 bedrooms. Baths, it says 1. I want to do a max of 2. Square footage, living area, it says 1,000 to 1,700. I'm going to do 250 since ours is 1,354 square feet. And then I'll do up to 1,500. Okay. And then hopefully we have a lot of comps because I know this is the area that um lots of people like have been moving to recently, so comps should be good. Okay, so those are the adjustments to make there. Then you click search. And okay, awesome. So as you can see, lots of comparables in just a short distance. So you scroll down and check out what ones you would like to add to your comparable list. So the first one is, looks like it's probably like right across the street or next door. It's 0.03 miles away and pretty comparable. 3/2/1929, a little bit smaller than our subject property. Again, our subject property is 1,354 square feet. Definitely writing that down or having it in a tab next to you so you can remember. Um, the next one is at 1346, was on the market for 106 days, 3 beds, 2 baths. Okay, we'll add this one to our comp list. Let's get more details. Okay. Let's see. All right, this one looks good. So this one that's and again, what I'm looking for is square footage, beds and baths, and built around the same year. Pictures also help with for inside pictures, but we can do that for the advanced CMA. So we're gonna add this one as well, within a half mile. Okay. And then let's try and find one that is going to be a little bit bigger than our subject property. Oh, and what's also helpful, I was actually going to choose this one. It does say, like, it stars what RPR uses when they do their evaluation. So we'll use what RPR uses as well. And then this breaks it down that these are recently sold comparables within the area. The next section shows for sale properties within the area. So it's nice to see, like, if you do want to do under contract one, or if you do want to see the ones that are just sold, you can look at it that way. And then these are actively under contract. Okay, I'll choose another one. Let's see. One's just a few streets over. Almost the same exact square footage with 3 bedroom and only 1 bath, full bath. Okay, cool. So it looks like we have a total of 4 comparables. We're going to go ahead and update valuation and close. All right, I think it's thinking. Here we go. Okay, so with the comparables that we chose, our estimated value is 212,917. So it looks like this is pretty low for doing it. Let's see. Let's edit our home back. Let me confirm my count. Modify. Okay. Well, now I just want to make sure that I updated. Okay. So looking back, this property sold, so their estimated value before even doing this is 249,790. So it looks like it is off by a lot based on the off-market value that RPR is coming up with. So what could be a factor is the renovations inside the property itself. So looking at your comp list, okay, I see here. So this one, if I pulled up pictures, the inside could be a little bit more outdated. So we'll take this one off our comp list. And then we have ones that are two stories, all around the price per square foot. So our comp list looks definitely a lot better by deleting that property. This one has a basement, 1.5. This is 2 stories. Okay, so we're gonna update valuation, and then I'm gonna add another one into the comp. So right now we're at 227,923. So if we wanted to add another comp to this, what we would do is adjust comps. That brings me here. Again, so nice because you can share this with your clients, print all of this out in your report to include at your listing presentation. And if, again, going through the photos, you're like, oh, this property looks very similar to the updates that my property has. So you could say, okay, let's say this is a little bit better. Then we can always change the meter accordingly. Update valuation and close. This seems more around the same price point at 171 per square foot. They're having it at 184 per square foot. Again, after you can have, based on your the property's condition, you can always adjust your report accordingly. We're going to go ahead and create the report. We're going to use a CMA template to do so. So again, what's nice about RPR, it literally just walks you through step by step.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If you wanted to add more after seeing what it came up with and you weren't 100% happy with what numbers it came up with, how could you from this screen add more, or the last screen before you actually created the report? How could you go back and add more?
Yeah, great question. All right, let's do that actually right now. So we can go ahead and edit here. So what I did was I confirmed my property is home fact, and then the next thing I'm searching for is comp. Came up with 3. I deleted 1, so now I'm going to add a 4th one. I clicked edit. And now, based on this, within the last 3 months, I'm going to go ahead and search. And it already pre-checked the one I chose, or the ones I chose earlier. So now we're just going to add 1 more. So now we are, you know what, this one, I don't think that I saw this one earlier either. So it's a little bit older, but it's about the same square footage, but has an extra bedroom. We'll add that one to the comps. And now this is how you add more. Again, unchecking it deletes it. So yeah, so great question. So now instead of having just 3, we have 4 comps. That gives us a ton of comps. So that's always also very helpful that we're in an area that has this many comparables. So from here, you can go ahead and update valuation to adding that new property.
Okay, so from this screen, you click the average of comps edit.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
Mhm.
you so much.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next one, we made adjustments, so we can always edit the adjustments we made. Like, did I see these photos inside? Should I have changed this to maintain it, keep it back, whatever additional research you do on the property. So say you were looking at the inside photos and you're like, oh, my property's in better condition than this comp that I chose. So then I'm gonna like put down the meter a little bit to be like, okay, I want to use this as a comparable, but it's not the exact property I'm looking for. So you can always adjust it to be more particular that way. Having the MLS open up in an additional window tab as well can be beneficial. But again, this one is kind of just like we're doing a quick CMA, getting ready for our listing presentation or listing, yeah, our listing presentation. And then we can always adjust after we see the condition of the current property that we're going on the listing appointment for.
Okay, so we're doing this before we go and see the house?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So this is strictly just like you're doing a little bit of research before you go on your listing appointment.
This is kind of like the quick snapshot to talk to the seller and get an idea.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay,
you want, and then especially on listing appointments, you kind of let them do most of the talking, and then you come with facts
okay,
to like, and facts being our little report we're running right here.
makes sense. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Okay, cool. Um, and then again, it lists all the properties. Click next. That's where that fourth property is that we just added. Also, I'm doing this for everyone to just quickly reference a video when doing a CMA. So when you go back and do it yourself, feel free to click on anything and everything. The more you know about how to do this and all the features that RPR has, the better use it will come to you and explaining to your clients like why you came up with the price that you did. So like anywhere that says like a little I mean, this gives you like historical listing details, but also what's helpful is what else was I looking at? Them like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, even I mean, even this little meter, how it shows like it adjusted since I said this one was in worse condition than my property, the price that it adjusted at, and then what it said per square foot, upped it $2 instead of just 170. And then it goes into bit more detail about the roofing, heating, outside features, insert or outside structure, basement, and all that. So taking that into effect.
So then after you see your client's house, would you go back in here and edit based on the other house's photos and then
Yes.
come back and say, I was a little off. This is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yes, absolutely. And even if you
Okay.
just are like, this is what I'm estimating before seeing your house, and now that I saw it, like I see where you're coming from at your price, love the updates. Let me evaluate where I'm coming from. Now I saw the inside of your home, the condition of it, and then based with the things that are currently on the market and how the market is, I'm going to update my evaluation and come back with more facts for you and more data. Exactly.
Okay. And even after creating the report, you can go in and update and change whatever needs to be updated and changed.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so
Hmm.
much.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Great questions. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and create the report.
1 second.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What I would recommend well, everyone, what I would recommend doing, I do this often, and it's great talking points because it also is going to alert you to problems other agents might have. Maybe the county record's completely wrong. You thought you were going for a 3-2 and it's a 4-2. So it's a great talking point. I save them as different versions just in case I need to go back because they may get fixated on a property that no longer is an active comp. So perhaps if you have to readjust your comps, save it as a second version so you've got all that information in front of you when it comes to pricing.
Yeah. Great point.
I'll go
Thanks,
back
Kelly.
on mute now.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Yeah, feel free to intervene anytime. Yeah. Um, and yeah, so then we're gonna go ahead and click create report. It gives me these options like buyer template, seller template, or CMA template. So again, each one is pretty much similar to the other. I mean, in regards to the seller template and CMA template, for training purposes, we're gonna do CMA template. And it will generate for you. Report title, kind of like just like what Kelly said, CMA, and I'm gonna do pre-listing appointment. Just so I know from my knowledge that this was what I came up with prior to my listing appointment. You could also name it whatever your the seller's last name is and whatnot, but the report title is going to show pre-listing appointment, or let's do pre-listing. It's going to show as the title on the report itself. Right here, CMA pre-listing for 3614 West 147th Street. Oh, look how cute this property is. Okay. So then you're coming prepared for your client, showing them your detailed CMA and with this cover photo. So there's lots and lots of pages within this. Let's see. Oh, there's 32 pages in this report. To minimize that, because you're not going to need 32 pages going into a listing appointment. Kind of what's super nice on the left-hand side, you customize your template accordingly. So your cover photo, then click on the next thing, and right here you can include what you want, delete what you don't want. Right here, it's showing that the RVM is 249.70. Do I want to include that? It's like over 10,000 off between what I created my evaluation to be. And looking here, it shows that it was sold back in 2023 for 244. Again, up to you on what you want to include in it. Before I see the inside of the property, I'm not going to include the RPR, but I'll use my valuation. Then, do I want the map? I don't really need the map for this property. Okay, now property information. Property facts, the legal description, sales and financing activity, and estimated value. Again, this is a very detailed CMA, so do we need sales and financing activity? Not really. For now. Estimated value, this is very helpful as it shows the total taxes over each year and how those have changed. Clearly gotten more expensive. Wow, it went from 3,170 to 5,711. So that, again, to note, could be from, what is that called? When the county does a, what is that called? It's every 3 years. Kelly, do you know what I'm talking about? When the county every 3 years, like, ups their taxes? Oh, wait, you're on mute.
It's when they do an assessment, they assess all the properties to come up with a new valuation. FYI, that valuation is never going to be market value. It's
Oh,
typically going to be less than what you could sell it for on the open market. They don't tax on full market value unless it just sold and they have an actual value for it.
got it. Okay. And isn't that like every 3 years or?
It's different county by county. Sometimes
Okay.
they've been starting to do it a little bit more often because when all these properties transact, they have true property values they can start to use.
Cool. Okay, good to know. Yes, and so based off of what this looks like, theirs was back in, maybe it was in 2024, 2023, when the county did that reevaluation, making the taxes higher, showing that the property is worth more than it was back in 2022. Okay. Sorry, I hope that didn't confuse anyone. And photos. So we're going to be taking updated photos. Very cool that this has photos available for us to look at. But we do not, again, we're going to be in there and taking updated photos, so we don't have to include that in our report. But basically, so getting at the CMA itself. Map will display when report is generated. Since we haven't generated the report yet, we don't see it here. But what's helpful is we will include this map because it will show us where those subject prop or where those comparables are on the map. So we can go ahead and click show map now. Awesome. So it does show how close those homes are. And love the little features that it has. So the subject property is obviously right here. The comparables that we used that were closed are going to be in orange. And then the active for sale property is in yellow. Or I mean yellow, what? Blue. Okay. Cool. And then again, it lists the comps that we chose for this property. And so just going over those with your clients, showing them side by side so that your client sees why you chose the comps that you did and the benefit behind it. All right. So now we go ahead and my it's a little bit smaller. Now we can go ahead and click download. When I click download now, I'm technically generating the report. So by me downloading it, I'm going to be saving it to my RPR templates, and I can always go back and reference it, and like Trisha was saying, and edit it for after I view the property. And again, by just plugging in what you know about the subject property, looking for comps in the area, and like I only did just like click around, add a few things, and it generated this whole report for me. Super helpful. You're educating yourself and your buyer on the market data. Or I mean, and the seller. Work with so many buyers, I get them all mixed up. Okay. Now where is my report? Download 100% complete. There we go. Download the report and it's going to show up as a PDF file. Let's go ahead and open that up. Okay, here we are. So this is your CMA for your subject property. Everything that I wanted included in there. The comps that we chose, why we chose them, any edits that we made. So this was built in 1939, 1939, 1923, 1922. Square footage in total, pretty similar throughout, both lot size and building area. And again, super helpful to have at least 4 comps to compare to your subject property. Okay. Oh, wow. And it's so nice too that it shows the inside of your, again, getting more detailed with the comps. It has photos for all of the current properties that recently sold in the MLS. Has updated photos throughout. Oh, I did not even see that. So you don't even need to have the MLS open in a new tab. The photos are right there for you to reference. So again, when I'm saying reference this, it's like if your subject property has an updated bathroom and you know that before going to look at the property. So then when you're looking at comps, finding properties that also have up-to-date bathrooms will be a good comp to include in your report. And then the ones that don't have updated bathrooms, you can still include them in your report, but give them less of an active comp. Like instead of doing it at 25%, use it at 10%. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? No? All right. So just so you know too, when you're going in to RPR and you're playing around with running CMAs on various properties, or even for future, or even for doing it now for working with clients, either buyer or seller running CMAs. If your buyer is super interested in a property and you want to run a CMA, I do recommend doing that as well. If you go to my reports, let's see. These are other reports I ran for different addresses. One I think was a listing report and then a buyer report. So your CMA will also show up here as saved. Oh, and in my work, let's see. Let's put my reports, my saved searches. It shows my searches. Let's see reports. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay, so I knew I looked at it. Okay, so under my properties, all the reports you ran, your most recent report, click view, showing that I didn't do it in the last 3 days, but my most recent one, that's where my CMA came in, and now I can go back and edit it. All right. So we'll go back to the CMA that we just did. Again, this is the CMA we just ran. Now, there is also an option for an advanced CMA, which you can do to update the latest information that you have from your property after viewing it. So advanced CMA, this is asking if I'm an appraiser, then I have to put my appraiser. So I'm gonna skip this step. Find comps for my advanced CMA. If you want to copy the comps you chose from your CMA, my regular CMA. So my quick CMA, and then this is an advanced CMA. And then I'm gonna go ahead and click yes. Again, if you don't and you want to just choose brand new comps, you totally can. So I'm gonna go back in here and edit the comps I chose. And by doing so, I'm like, okay, I really like the let's see, I really like the 3 comps I chose, but I don't love the last one I chose. So then I'm gonna go ahead in here and edit that. Since my property was 6,800 square feet, I'm gonna go ahead and find something closer to that. Okay. 4132. All right, let's add this to my account. Update valuation. And then with the advanced comps, it's a lot more detailed editing. So what's super nice is you can just look at them side by side and adjust accordingly, which will then adjust your outcome of your CMA. That's colonial with our cut. The more information you put into the CMA, the better you will, the better price you will get out of it. So our subject property has an improved basement finish. This one just says regular basement. This is an unfinished basement. Next one's a full base or basement full. When it's okay, this is where I was getting at. So weighting your comps, what I was talking about, the 25% and 10%. So what is saying, how similar are your comps to the subject property? Your weighing will affect how the final value of your analysis will be computed. So when I'm looking at the comps side by side, my basement's improved and finished. This has an unfinished basement. So I like everything else about the comp, but unfinished basement, I want to maybe only use 20% of this as my comp. So to do so, I'll just edit. 20%, and then looking at this as full, look at my last one. Full, partially finished, full. This one just says it has a basement, but doesn't give much, so I'm gonna edit the weight on this one as well. So I'm gonna use 30% here. Apply and close. So again, depending on what the basement and what the condition of the basement is in your subject property when you view it, and you're like, oh wow, this is great, full finished basement, that's an improvement. This is how you can adjust your CMA accordingly. Basement, this just says basement. Okay, that's great, there's basement. Is it finished? You don't know. So we're gonna take off at least 5% from using that as comparable. Same thing with the one that's unfinished. And then full basements in our third comp, and then our fourth comp shows full partially finished. I'd rather use my comp to be closer to the last 2 comps today, or my subject property price to be closer to the similarity in the last 2 comps than the first 2. So that's how I came up with 20%, 20%, and 30%, 30% to come out with a new price evaluation. Okay, now our new report has our house listed at $243,080. As you can see, there's so much movement and price range when doing a CMA. So doing it a couple times to kind of adjust accordingly. Again, the more information you put into your CMA and more research you do, the better the price. The first one, quick CMA. The second one, the more advanced CMA, is just getting down to even looking at the photos, adjusting the percentages, knowing what the conditions are in your subject property is key to then running an additional CMA and updating it accordingly. And as you can also see, the price per square footage, long range. But what is good to discuss with your clients as well is giving them a timeline on what your almost like or what the market says to you, but what is that called? Not so much a boundary, but timeline to educate them on the market. So if you get lots of action right up front with your purchase price that you chose for the home, but no offers come in after 2 weekends have passed, then it's time to talk about a price reduction. Similar if you don't get any action after you host an open house and a weekend goes by, good to talk about a price reduction. Kind of like just like for your knowledge and to make your sellers aware so that you're not just like, oh my gosh, nobody came in for 1 week, we need to lower the price. Educating them on why you're lowering the price before you have that conversation, so it's a lot easier and smoother. That's a good way to look at it as well. Because like we're human, we don't know what the market's going to give us tomorrow, the next day, but having facts and why we came up with the price that we do will definitely help back you. And you know, everybody thinks their house is worth more when they live there. So instead of like riding on their emotions, kind of just again do facts.
One very helpful conversation brings a visual to your sellers. If you are having a hard time coming to an agreement on price, first of all, remember it's their property, they set the price. You provide information, they set the price. But if you really feel that this house is overpriced, this is the example that I typically use. If you are standing at the top of a hill and you drop a playground ball, you have just a few seconds to catch that ball. Once it gets away from you, you will be chasing that ball down the hill. That is how pricing a property appropriately works. If the goal is to get us under contract and off market, then we need to price appropriately and keep our eye on the ball.
Love that. Yeah.
You know, because again, it's not it for a seller, it is personal. We are valuing their memories, their family home, all of that. But we also need to remind them that selling it will look differently. Just a little help.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate you adding that. And again, obviously taking, like Kelly said, they're pricing the home. We just give them facts. We just give them what we do and our knowledge, and this is the value we're bringing to them. So, like Kelly said too, when you're not getting action and the ball's getting away from you, that's when it's an easier conversation because they're like, oh, you're right. Like, this is when I should, you know what, I want more action, want someone to catch the ball. So they'll be more apt to lower the price.
And update your comps. Because remember, the house next door could now have closed 100 under asking and ruin everything that you did 2 months ago.
Yeah,
So,
good
you know,
point.
always make sure that you're supplying them with fresh information, because when they're sitting here and they're trying to decide who to blame about the runaway ball, you don't want it to be you. You have continued to provide them with market data. you are keeping them aware of what the market is doing. So don't forget that very important trick.
Yeah. Right. And Kelly, just a quick question. Do you only use properties that have closed, or have you also added in your comps currently active properties?
So when I start the conversation, I start it with active properties because I want them to see what they're actively looking at. Remember that many agents don't change their signs from for sale to under contract or pending. So
Yeah.
letting them know that the house down the street is listed but under contract. Now we don't know what that price is, but we
Right.
need to watch this and see what happens. If it
Mhm.
closes high, we love it. And if it closes low, we need to know about it.
Yeah. Good point. Okay.
And
Cool.
that's just me and my business and how I do it.
Yeah.
I do
So
think it
you
is
only use
best.
active, not any close in the
No, I
meantime.
do use sold also because
You do,
that's
yes.
the real data that truly
Mhm.
helps. But knowing the moving parts in the equation are also helpful for me
Yeah.
in my conversations.
Perfect. Good to
But
know.
yes, you have to know the solds because that's what appraisers are looking at.
Hmm. Yeah.
Those are the non-negotiable points.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for adding that.
Of course.
Right. Well, with all of that knowledge from from both Kellys,
Kelly's.
uh, does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Kelly, this is Sarah. Hi there. I have a question under the advanced comps feature that you showed us just
Mhm.
now. So the row that says sales slash finance concession, I may have missed it. What's the easiest way to find that information, and what's the significance of that in real life?
I'll go first.
Yep.
So that information is going to be on public records and it's
Okay.
going to be on every closed listing and it's down at the bottom. The very bottom, it's going to show you both agents, it's going to tell you the concessions, and it's going to
Okay.
tell you how the transaction closed. Was it a conventional loan, an FHA loan? The reason this information is helpful is it
Mm,
prepares your seller for what their transaction could look like. 2 and 3 years ago, there was no such thing as seller concessions. Now it is very much a part of the transaction, and comparing that information lets the sellers know this is part of what a transaction looks like. You put a price on it, and the buyer is willing to buy it, but they want some money to pass through the transaction and come back to them. Be prepared for those conversations. I'm seeing that in South Euclid, it is very common for buyers to be getting 3% in concessions. So that is something that we want to be aware of, recognize that it's going to be coming, and maybe we need to factor a little bit of that into our price to cushion you.
mhm. And it would end up, is this correct? It would end up looking as if the house sold for, say, 3% less, if that was the case, or is it the other way around?
So it is going to close at whatever that contact price is, and it's going to just look like it's sold. And it did. It sold for 350,000.
Mm,
But on deeper review, we will see that of that 350,000, 3%, for example, was granted. So
okay.
an appraiser is going to look at that information and realize that 350 wasn't the full value because there was that 3% that was part of the transaction. So,
Okay.
no, was the property truly valued and sold at 350? No, it actually sold at 3% less.
Hmm.
Because as we get into interesting markets, buyers will start to finance potentially some of the money that they don't want to give up at the table. So a buyer might say, you know what, I want to keep my down payment and my closing costs, And I'm going to ask the seller to contribute some because I want to have a little bit of a nest egg when I move in. I want to offer 350 and I would love for them to give me back 3%. At that point, we're going to do reverse math and we're going to come up with an offer that is truly what the seller wants, wrapping their concessions into it and presenting it to the seller. Because remember, a seller is going to do the same math and he's going to realize that that 350 offer is not a 350 offer because he's granting back 3% of that. So over $10,000. So really the property is going to sell for 340. We're going to have this $10,000 that yes was part of the transaction, but it really wasn't a house sale number.
Mhm.
And hopefully that helps a little bit.
Okay. And then my second question is when you include a property for a comp that's active under contract, is it the case that the price that's showing up for you is the price that what it was originally listed for? Can you explain that a little bit more? You don't know exactly what it is when it's under contract, right?
Correct. Here's
Okay.
why. When we work with our sellers, our job is confidentiality and selling their property in a way that they want it to.
Mhm.
Say, for example, this seller got in his feelings and he accepted 325 instead of 350 for this particular offer. There was something about it. He liked the last name. For whatever reason, he is under contract perhaps at 350. Well, we're not going to talk about that because the deal hasn't closed yet. He may not accept 325 for the next person. It might have just been that one person, that one event that made it change for him.
Got
So
it.
we're not going to tell all the other agents, sure, he took 325, because that means they're going to offer 320. And
Mhm.
it's not sold until it's sold. Once we go under contract and we do inspections, we might need a $2,000 credit because we discovered electric that needs to be updated. So now contract price 325 is really going to have a sale value of 323 because we have that $2,000 credit. And then we went through appraisal and the house did not appraise. So we had to do a price reduction. So all of this is happening prior to close.
Mhm.
Once it actually closes, that is the on record value. Until that happens, it is best if you are protecting your client, the seller, to not talk about it because nothing is set in stone until both seller and buyer have signed.
Mhm.
Only then will all of those mechanics that happen behind the scene come to light. And we will see that it was listed at 350. There was 10,000 in concessions. There was an appraisal reduction.
Super helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly.
Sorry to I didn't mean to co-opt but
Oh no, this is
it is a
so
great
helpful. I'm
chance to
learning too.
talk.
Right? Yeah.
And
This is great.
these are all things that are kind of moving numbers because no transaction is going to look the same. And it's really helpful to have these conversations with your clients because I went under contract this weekend and it is not the highest bid. But I wrote an offer in a way using other levers that the seller was like, it still feels like a win-win to me because I could get 2,000 more from somebody else, but that agent didn't call. It's an FHA loan. Ugh, I'd rather, because sometimes we used to say highest and best coming out of COVID. But now sellers are realizing highest might not always be best.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be well prepared to have those conversations and break it down so that they see that highest might not always be your best choice.
Good point. Yeah. yeah, the market is so different from before COVID to
Mhm.
now. So yeah, so getting into more of a with like medium seller buyer's market. Definitely going towards buyer's market in the middle of a seller and buyer's market, which is
Uh,
also super helpful. What RPR can do for you is kind of gives you that, what am I trying to say? It's almost like a bar of expectations of what the market is currently at based on the data that they're pulling.
a ballot, and so you guys are all out of real estate school. So here is something that was helpful that you were taught. A balanced market means that buyers have 3 months of inventory. We are not there yet. We are sitting with inventory that's typically from 30 to 39 days, depending on which individual market you actually work. So if a seller is losing their crap after 2 weeks, there's a lot of reasons why, and have that conversation, but also realize that in many markets, properties are sitting for 30 days before contract.
Cool. Well, good that you said that because I didn't remember learning that in real estate school. Yeah.
Well, there's only about 10 things that you really learned that you really,
Right. So true.
I cannot remember how many feet in an acre, but I can remember.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, right. But I learned what not to do and how to stay out of real estate jail.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, if no one else, any questions? I will have a little one pager and kind of like a brief thing on what to do in RPR and how to get to where we are. For you guys to reference, and then obviously this video is recorded, so we'll reference it. But hopefully between both the Kellys, this was helpful for you. And then last chance if you have any other questions. No? All right. Well, thanks guys for joining.